Judge Mershon's daughter.
Please tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? What? Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about
just
AG
I don't think you
point
know
of
what
order.
you're here
President.
for.
Well, you the one talking about. I guess
I
you
think
still
your
stuck in the
fake
courtroom.
eyelashes are messing up.
No,
what you're
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr.
That's
Chairman,
beneath
would
even
you
your
please
history.
regain
That's
order
beneath
of your
you.
committee?
Order.
Please.
There's a point of order.
We have a point of order. Mr. Lynch, state your point.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to ask the parliamentarian if your conduct here in raising money in connection with this hearing is referable to the ethics
Mr.
committee within this hearing. Is a motion in order to refer your conduct and your abuse of
It's not a
process?
point of order. not a
Mr.
point
I
of
do have a
order.
point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you
meeting will
attack the
suspend.
physical
Meeting will
appearance of another
suspend.
person?
Are your
Move
feelings
her
hurt?
words down.
Oh,
Oh, girl, baby girl.
oh, really?
Don't even play. with
Baby
me.
girl?
We're gonna,
I don't think
we are going to
so.
move, and we're going to take your words down.
I
Thank you very
second
much.
that motion.
So who will have
Mr. Chair, point of order.
who's
It's me.
Ms. Crockett?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's a
Hold on.
I'm
parliament.
trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman, motion to
I had
strike
no
those
idea what
words.
you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just.
Oh,
You
y'all
just,
did
you
it
just
first.
voted to do
Y'all did it
it.
first, so you
You
don't
just
wanna talk about
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get
Okay.
clarification.
Look at, calm down. Calm
No,
down.
no, because this
I
is
would
what
like
y'all
to get
do.
through proceeding.
So I'm trying
Hey,
to get
Ms.
clarification.
Crockett, you're not
If y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Ms.
games,
I can't
Crockett.
hear you with your
and you
yelling.
don't want me
Calm
to be-
down.
No,
Can you please calm
don't
down?
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all
Please
talk
calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take it.
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
out take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a
Mr.
problem.
Chairman, Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
Sorry.
Chair.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Who's
It's me.
Ms. Crockett?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's a
Hold on.
I'm
parliament.
trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman, motion to
I had
strike
no
those
idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just.
Oh,
You
y'all
just,
did
you
it
just
first.
voted. You
Y'all
just,
did
you
it
just
first.
voted to do
Y'all
it.
did it first, so you don't want to talk about it.
Voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at, calm down. Calm
No,
down.
no, because this
I
is
would
what
like to
y'all
get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying to
Hey,
get
Ms. Crockett,
clarification.
you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Ms.
games,
I can't
Crockett.
hear you with your
and you
yelling.
don't want me
Calm
to be-
down.
No,
Can you please calm
don't
down?
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all
Please
talk
calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a
Mr.
problem.
Chairman, Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
So this is what happens with Black people in general, but especially Black women in certain spaces. Marjorie Taylor Greene decided that she was going to come for Jasmine Crockett. And when Jasmine Crockett decided that she was going to buck back, that's when everybody else thought it was too much. It's the white fragility for me. Marjorie Taylor Greene is ill-equipped to be in Congress, but she was voted in. And many people stayed home to allow those who voted for her to stay in. This is a Republican-led committee with few Democrats there to actually be able to fight back against some of the ridiculous policies that they're trying to send to the Speaker of the House. And many times, most Democrats in these situations, but especially Black women, are alone in this. If you look at that panel, she is alone in this. McConnell's all nitrate deserves every single drop of shade that she deserves, because she doesn't do anything in Congress. If you watch the congressional hearings, she does nothing but antagonize people. Jasmine Crockett is qualified for her role and clapping back.
Let it be known. the caucasity of it all, Mike V says. This is, but so that hearing, it kind of, if you think about See, I like to watch. There's not many that I haven't seen now, but if you think about like these old, they call classic movies from like the early 1930s, 40s, 50s, like stuff like that, and they paint the picture because back then, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, Jim Crow and all of that. And this is like a reminder of that, in the sense that um, they put the black person in their place, right? Now, in Marjorie Taylor Greene's case, you could tell she knew she was in a pro MAGA atmosphere. Like the common. Uh, I'm so angry about a lot of stuff this morning, that we're going to get into. It's Friday, and um, initially we had some, and we still do have some more lighter stuff, but so much stuff came out and came our way over the last 12 hours or so. And it's just stuff that really just serves to just tick you the heck off. Um, and this is one of them. This is one of them because it, you don't root for violence. I don't, but I got to tell you, just once, just once, let Jasmine under total immunity, without any type of fear of prosecution, without any type of fear of losing her position. Just let her in a room with Marjorie Taylor Greene alone. Just once. People say that's not how you solve things. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. But at some point, just like we had that guy the other day. I still don't know if I. No, I do know that I don't necessarily agree with what he did and said about the 7-year-old bullying his child, and then so he had to beat down the dad. But come on. But this is what, see this, she's a staunch MAGA person, a staunch um Kool-Aid drinker of the Orange Man. And you got the other bimbo, Lauren Boebert, along with MAGA Mike the speaker, and blackface Byron Donalds, and others at the Trump trial, and showing their allegiance, wearing the red tie. But this is what things are. And so Dr. Nicole sent me something yesterday and said, "Yeah, did you know about this? I didn't." She didn't know about Project 2025. And so all this is going to tie in because I saw a post yesterday. And I'm going to tell you a little bit, Dr. Nicole, about Project 2025. And for those who don't really know, I'm going to give you a little bullet points of Project 25. But um, Cardi B, one of who I find delightful, who I just find delightful somewhere. See, humorous, maybe not humorous and delightful. I mean, I like Cardi B. I don't know her music, but I just like when she talks. Um, she made some comments that got under Dawn, yes, Power 96, the red bone skin, and also Anthony Tillman's skin, and they both responded. And it was about the election. So it's going to tie in that the stuff that we're going to lead with today, the portion I like to call the Greer portion of Let It Be Known, the Greer inspired portion, um, stuff like that. This is what you see under a Trump administration, Donald Trump administration. Um, Jasmine Crockett would be not only removed from Congress, she'd be prosecuted and perhaps even executed. You say, oh, come on, that's extreme. Project 2025 would give him the ultimate power to put her to death over an offense like that, or a perceived offense, because he went after her. Let's face it, I'm just gonna give it to you nice and raw. She went after a white woman. Death, according to Project 2025. Um, Project 2025. I mean, there's a whole list of stuff. One element uh, is to reinstate the executive order known as Schedule F, which would reclassify federal employees as at-will workers and give the administration the ability to fire employees who are not pledging allegiance to Trump. Um, yes, Greer, let's do that. And so, speaking of Jasmine Crockett, she she spoke with the person who helped author Project 2025. Let's take a look. We don't yet have volume there. Okay, we don't have volume. But this guy who helped.
Calls the project pillars, correct?
We are proud contributors to Project 2025.
Okay. And are you familiar with Project 2025's mandate for leadership?
In fact, I am.
Okay. And in fact, you wrote some of the sections of this mandate related to the DOJ, correct?
Sure did.
And the mandate outlines policy priorities for the next conservative president. Is that correct?
It does.
You've done a great job. I just want to let you know. All right, so let's walk through some of the provisions of the mandate. It calls for eliminating the Department of Education, eliminating the Department of Commerce, deploying the military for the use of domestic law enforcement against protesters under the Insurrection Act of 1807. It also has the repealing of Schedule F status for thousands of federal employees to allow a president to replace career civil servants with unqualified partisan loyalists. That's probably my favorite of it. It also prohibits the FBI from combating the spread of misinformation and disinformation, like Russia and China, who are actively trying to interfere with American elections. I don't know why or how anybody can support Project 2025. And I know that there was allegedly a joke about dictators and whether or not that's funny, but in the United States of America, dictatorships are never funny.
And so that's Project 2025 would provide Trump with the powers of dictatorship. And again, as he has said himself, he would not leave office not until he dies. And people say again, well, he can't do that. There are term limits. In fact, he only has 4 years left. No, he has as long as he lives, because he has all of this power, and he has all of this. He has the enslavers totally behind him. Project 2025 also aims to put Christianity at the center of American government and society by turning a biblical worldview into federal law. And make no mistake, biblical scripturally as it reads in the Bible of Trump. You remember he was selling Bibles. We talked about, people talk about reproductive rights. That's out the window entirely. It's there's a whole, the FBI would be basically hamstrung to do anything. There would be no more. The civil rights law would go out the window. All civil rights laws would be gone out. This is all in. This is not hyperbole. This is not exaggeration. This is in Project 2025. All civil rights laws, and in addition to that, Project 2025 calls on the government, which would be led by Donald Trump, to destroy and get rid of anything related to um, affirmative action, DE and I. But not only that, is to reevaluate how they look at it, and then re instate uh, diversity, equity, and inclusion only as it benefits, and the interpretation, I should say, that it would be diversity, meaning white folks, white men in particular, should have the authority and positions here, there, and everywhere. Read it, read it. It's this is again, it's not an exaggeration. It gets rid of anything related to climate change. It does not want climate change. It proposes to totally roll back even legal immigration and limit it to the countries that Donald Trump specifically pointed out. Norway is one of them. Um, and even people who are simply adjacent to immigrants could be arrested and sent to prison under Project 2025. So, in other words, if you know of an immigrant, not even an illegal immigrant, and Donald Trump's people decide they want them out of the country, again, people, you guys will listen to this and say, well, you got to go through. The laws would all be dictated by Donald J. Trump and these people who are behind him. It totally gets rid of the Department of Education. And it's so important to think about that. Wipe out the Department of Education. I was on a call yesterday with the White House and Steve Benjamin, and we were talking. I asked him about the segregation of American schools, et cetera, the lack of resources for Black and Brown students. What they are proposing to do, the Trump folks in Project 2025, is to dismantle, get rid of the Department of Education. Think about that for a second, and think about it in the context of all this other stuff. If you really pay attention, slaves were not allowed to be educated. Slaves were whipped and even killed if they were caught trying to learn how to read. This is Project 2025. No exaggeration. This is Project 2025. In the forward to the mandate for leadership, they are calling for the deletion of DE&I out of every federal rule, agency, regulation, contract. It says, quote, the next conservative president must make the institutions of American civil society hard targets for woke culture warriors. This starts with deleting the terms used to deprive Americans of their First Amendment rights out of every federal rule, agency, regulation, contract, grant, et cetera, et cetera. And the word Americans is highlighted. Why is that highlighted? Well, you know what they mean. What does Make America Great Again mean? What does MAGA mean? According to Project 2025, the U.S. Army's focus on DEI is a detriment. So they will, again, welcome discrimination in that aspect as well in the military. And this is what Dr. Nicole says, and you folks like Cardi B talking about she's not voting. So, yeah, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. Justice Alito, and so here's again Supreme Court Justice. This is a Donald Trump judge, Donald Trump supporter. He now is shifting. This is what they do. He's shifting the blame to his wife Martha Anne. He said that she had sole responsibility in displaying a stop the steal upside down American flag outside their home in the aftermath of the 2020 election. The justice had gotten some heat because the New York Times revealed yesterday that the stop the steal sign, and there are videos now apparently of this and photos, were outside his house in the aftermath of the election, in which President Biden soundly defeated Trump. Um, and that flag not only went up after the election, after Biden's win, but remained even during and after, 2 weeks after. It stayed 2 weeks after the January 6th insurrection. January 17th, just before the inauguration, that flag was still flying over the Alexandria, Virginia home of Justice Alito. Now, if you've not been paying attention, folks will say, well, okay. It's not okay. There's nothing about that's okay. Alito said in a statement emailed, he says that he had no involvement whatsoever in the flying of the flag and that it was briefly placed by Mrs. Alito in response to a neighbor's use of objectionable and personally insulting language on a yard sign. That's his story, and he's sticking to it. Now, understand that Alito is among the judges that are currently deliberating whether or not they're going to give Donald Trump presidential immunity and get rid of all of his cases against him and throw them all out. They're expected to issue a ruling in a few weeks. And we know judges, particularly Supreme Court judges, are supposed to avoid politics. Former federal prosecutor Joyce Vance noticed this, and he went on Twitter. He says Justice Alito doesn't seem to care. This is what Joyce Vance said. Joyce Vance said, I thought when I saw the headline, I thought a vandal had placed the upside down American flag at the Alito's house, or the photo was a deep fake. It turns out that's not the case. So even the former federal prosecutor thinking, wow, there's something wrong with that. There has to be a fake. And Ely Mistel, an attorney and justice correspondent for News Nation, or not News Nation, The Nation, also reacted. And this is what love this response. Always gotta love when strong, manly Republicans for personal responsibility throw their wives under the bus at the first available moment. And we know that there's Clarence Thomas and his wife. He's also faced calls to recuse himself and refuses to. And you know, Jeannie Thomas is one of the architects of the Stop the Steal movement. Austin says, as if blaming his wife makes it better. And Power 96 says, my question is, who is surprised the U.S. Supreme Court is 6-3 and heavy on the conservative side? Meanwhile, in Georgia, so again, this is all leading somewhere. It's like it's like this the game of Clue. You get all these clues that leads you to the actual situation, right? Because in Georgia, there's this debate going on as to whether to replace Confederate leader Alexander Stephens in Statutory Hall with baseball legend Hank Aaron. State Rep Trey Kelly said Hank Aaron used his influence to advance civil rights, inspire entrepreneurship, and hammer home the Georgia that we know today. He said it's time Georgia unites and recognizes one of our favorite sons on Capitol Hill. And even the descendants of this racist Confederate leader have come out and said this. It should be removed. His statue should be removed so that, and this is a quote, the descendants of enslaved people no longer walk beneath them at work and on campus. And how about this? Again, sticking with the theme, what is in store going forward? So no one is safe, and certainly not your children. MAGA Republican state rep from New Hampshire, Jesse Edwards, says he is against banning marriage for children under 18 because they are, quote, listen carefully, folks. He believes that children should be married. He says because they are, this is his quote, ripe and fertile. Ripe and fertile. He believes that children should be married because they are ripe and fertile. When pressed later, he refused to apologize. And he says he's standing by his words after sparking this national outcry while he opposed the bill that would raise the age of marriage. The bill simply wanted to raise the age, sought to raise the age of marriage in New Hampshire from 16 years old, 16 to 18. But this potential pedophile went ballistic, ripe and fertile, he says. He's in his fourth term. And while he doesn't apologize for that, and you know what? Nor should he, because that's who he is. He said that he does apologize for creating such a stir during the debate. And he then claimed that everyone thanked him for his 8 years of service and his leadership in the state and the things he's accomplished. The child marriage bill passed the House last week despite Edwards' objection. But the majority of U.S. states do allow marriage at 16 in some cases, but New Hampshire and Maine are the only states in the Northeast that does that. He is one of 100, Edwards, now listen carefully, one of 174 Republicans who voted against banning child marriage. One of 174 Republicans who voted against banning child marriage. This is what's in store, folks. Child marriage in America now has reached a stunning more than 300,000 marriages since 2000 is reported. Girls as young as 12 years old have been married to adult males. This is pedophilia. This is not marriage. This is pedophilia. And we in this country, rightfully so, criticize places, other places like India, maybe China, wherever, places in Africa where there's constant child marriage. It's constant child marriage here. 300,000 in the last 24 years. Pedophilia is rampant and they want to legalize it. We want to make excuses. It's rampant. It's disgusting. That is what should be punishable by death. And staying with this MAGA theme, the vomit of MAGA, 50 billionaire families have already spent more than $600 million on the 2024 election. And as someone noted on Instagram, instead of paying their fair share of taxes, they're buying elections to rig the system on their behalf. It's a lot going on, folks. It's a whole lot going on. And so when you got Stephen A. Smith and Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube and Killer Mike and others, Sexy Red, telling you that they down with this, because this is what they're down with. If they're saying they're down with 45, this is what they are signing on to. This is 100% what they are signing on to. And so I'll go right to the situation with Cardi B and Dawn and Anthony Tillman. So Dawn and Anthony were among those who called her out. If you missed it, she did this spread with Rolling Stone magazine. And then she announced in the article and then on her social media page that she won't be casting her ballot for Joe Biden or Donald Trump this November. She says she's calling them both failures as president. Now, before we go further, and again, this is something that I thought about and I think about. Look, you do what you will. I'm not trying to convince anybody to do anything, but I want to understand what makes this administration that we currently see a failure. Yesterday, the stock market hit an all-time high. Inflation has cooled dramatically. And you got to understand the inflation starts with the previous administration, and it takes at least 2 years to start to trend the other way if the correct policies are put in place. And this is what we're seeing. In addition to all the muck and mire, now I'm sounding like Marjorie Taylor Greene or something because that's probably all she could say. That this administration had to clean up from the last. And I know that they threw all types of bleach throughout the White House before they moved in. I hope they did anyway. But nonetheless, I digress. Nonetheless, yesterday also, it was announced that with the latest policies, with the latest influx to HBCUs, that this administration has now contributed a mind-boggling, by far record, $16 billion to HBCUs. I mean, I don't want to run down all the we have our issues with the Biden Harris administration. We certainly do. I don't want to sit here and champion them. I'm just trying to understand where the failure comes in. Where's the failure here? Especially for people of color, particularly for people of color. Black unemployment is at its lowest in history. Black wealth has grown tremendously under this administration. Where's the failure for Black and brown? This is what Cardi B said. She called him a failure. So Dawn responds and she tweets in response. She says, "So I'm going to say that the rest of us do not have this luxury." And then she goes on to say, and I am Cardi B. She asks Cardi, "Has anyone shared Project 2025 with you?" She says, "I know that you may not be directly affected by those proposed policies if Trump," and she couldn't even say Trump. Can't even say his name. She's that disgusted. "If Trump gets back into office," she says, and she pleads with Cardi, "Can you please reconsider your position on this?" And Anthony chimes in. He says, "I sincerely hope she reconsiders, as having such a negative mindset is the reason Trump was elected in the first place." Power 96 mentions Lawrence Taylor is the latest chomo, he says, to endorse Trump. So Lawrence Taylor, the greatest football player in history, probably misguidedly so, feels he owes Trump something. Trump helped him back in the USFL years in the 80s. Trump maybe even gave this guy, with all the drug problems and the arrest and also the arrests with an underage prostitute on Lawrence Taylor's docket. Probably Trump gave him money, probably lent him money, and this is how he's repaying them. Could be that all of the cocaine that Lawrence Taylor has inhaled has messed with his brain. Could be. You can't judge an athlete by their performance on the field, what type of person they are. I mean, look, I hate to bring it up, but who was that Baltimore Ravens? I don't even mention his name. I know who he was. Beat his wife or his fiance or whatever she was in the elevator, beat her silly. He didn't look like the type of guy who would do that. But these uninformed or dudes wearing blackface, you got to you just got to like combat them somehow. But Cardi wasn't going out of her way to discuss the upcoming election, but in her extensive Rolling Stone profile that dropped yesterday, it came up. And as they noted, she emptied the clip on both Trump and Biden. She claims, and I don't know where she's getting her information. She said that the Biden's current domestic and foreign policies have been the source of layers and layers of disappointment for her. I mean, look, if that's a personal feeling, that's her personal feeling, right? Layers and layers of disappointment. The question becomes, what were you expecting? And what were you expecting that you have not that has not been achieved? You are a multi-millionaire. You live a privileged life. Now, she didn't always, but she does now. And she is one we saw Stevie Wonder get, and this is I'm not saying this is why Stevie got his citizenship in Ghana earlier this week, but we saw him get his citizenship in Ghana. And for somebody like him, somebody like Cardi B, come January, when they see the dictator walk down Pennsylvania Avenue and march into that White House and immediately begin to assume the role of dictator, they can easily abscond. They can easily pick up and go. They can leave everything behind because whatever they have, the millions of dollars or whatever of furniture and clothing or whatever, man, do it somewhere else. They don't need to take it with them. When I leave here, I need to take a few items with me at least. I gotta take it with me. Austin says, can foreign policy expert Cardi B find North America on the map? And Power 96 says she probably can't even tell Rolling Stone who is her city council member. She says, America's selective funding. Here's the other part of it. Now, this part, some people can say, okay, I can rock with that. She says her America's selective funding of overseas wars has gotten under her skin. Okay. What do you think is going to happen? How about it didn't get under your skin that the former president was allegedly, according to the House investigation, U.S. Congress investigation, was selling secrets to enemies. How about that getting under your skin? She says she's also worried about artists of color that will get blackballed for speaking about the Israel-Hamas war. Um, hmm, you got a much bigger worry with a dictator, Cardi. There's countries, she says, where kids are getting killed every single day, but because the U.S. won't benefit from that country, they won't help. I don't like that America has this superhero cape on. We never did things to be superheroes. We did things for our own convenience. Okay. There's there's a lot of folks from all walks who feel that way, but you are putting that um on Biden. And then she goes on to say this is the part, this is another part that's really, it's really hard to digest coming from a Cardi B with all of her resources. She says the cost of living is too high, wages are too low, and too little is being done about it. I feel like people got betrayed. Um, cost of living is high. There's no question about it. But once again, do your homework. Do your homework. Why is it that way? Could it be that all those nefarious deals that the former president made with China and Russia and the Saudi government and others? Could it be that all that has come back to bite everybody? Could it be that all of his lies and misinformation about the COVID pandemic uh, led to the deaths of tens of thousands of people? Could it be, Cardi B? Could it be? Could it be that in less than one term, that this administration had to find its footing after cleaning up all of the manure left behind? Power 96 says artists of color should be blackballed for calling themselves the N word, a hole in the B word. There you go. There you go. And so these folks with these platforms, um, if you're going to spew certain things, you should, because you affect, unfortunately, so many people because there's too much idol worship in this world. So you're going to affect them. So before you open your mouth, then get informed. If you're going to look, I am not at all against celebrities staying out because people are getting on some celebrities for staying out of politics. I think they should. I think that I would stay out of it. Well, I stay out of it now, except for having to bring the news to you. But I think that they don't. It's not their. It's not what they're there for. Mike V says mismanagement of the pandemic from the previous administration that the new administration had to clean up. It was so much. How about Cardi B? I got an invitation June 1st, I think it is. I'll get the dates to you, Cardi. How about joining us at the screening of the movie, the documentary, The Sixth? How about joining us for that? That is um, going to take place at Capitol Hill, where appropriately on Capitol Hill, the screening, and it will go into the lives of those who were whose lives were in danger during the January 6th insurrection, and go into everything leading up to it that caused it, what was going on, um, unseen footage, and everything else from inside Capitol Hill. Maybe you need to take a look at that film. Maybe you should join us. Maybe you should join Greer and I. Bring Offset. Maybe he can talk some sense to you. Maybe you both will see what folks and who look through rose-colored glasses, who live perched above everyone else, cannot necessarily see. So you have an invitation, Cardi. And the thing is, y'all know me. Y'all know I like Cardi. I never come at Cardi. But I gotta say, when you get into this realm, You gotta come correct. There is too many Stephen A. Smiths, too many Snoop Dogg, too many Ice Cubes out there. I thought, as crazy as some people have believed Cardi to be, I've always found her to be so refreshing when she gives her takes. And here's something else, and I'm sure that should have some great interest to Cardi, Offset perhaps, certainly to that crowd, because Joe Biden yesterday took another step toward reclassifying marijuana as a lower risk substance, opening for public comment a proposed loosening of federal rules and a step the president has deemed to be monumental. So, what they're doing is making sure that marijuana is totally out of the equation um, when it comes to federal offenses. All you guys, Snoop Dogg, especially, you can take a puff of relief. He says the president says today my administration took a major step to reclassify marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug. It's an important move towards reversing longstanding inequities. And it was the first time the president spoke about the proposed scheduling since his Justice Department recommended it in April. It's going to be the same, if approved. Schedule 3 would be the same classification that prescription drugs like Tylenol with codeine it has. And it would amount to significant changes to federal marijuana law, and it could provide a political boost, of course, to the president. But he's already pardoned federal marijuana offenders and urged individual state governors to take similar steps. And so when Snoop Dogg says he is rocking with his words was he's rocking with Trump because Trump pardoned his man Harry O. So there's a huge difference. Here, Biden has already pardoned all federal marijuana cases. He can't pardon state cases. He's urged governors to pardon them as well. But Harry O was convicted and serving time for selling illegal drugs like cocaine, heroin, and other stuff in Black communities. Think about it. Think about it. I have never tried marijuana or any drug in my life, and it will always be that way. It will always be that way. Guarantee you that. I don't know what. I mean, some people say they use marijuana for medicinal purposes. Okay, that's your bag. Snoop, of course, he's smoking all the time. And so maybe that's clouded his judgment of late too. But before we go today, I want to bring this story to your attention. It's a really good. She called me a nerd. Oh man. Um, a Maryland teacher is getting a lot of attention and criticism after posting a video of his students unbraiding his hair in a classroom. In fact, he's been disciplined now, I think suspended for this, but the video has been seen nearly 7 million times on the teacher's TikTok page alone, and it's been reposted all over the place. His name is Marquise White. He's a middle school science teacher in the Prince George's School District. In the video, he said he asked 4 or 5 of his students, who he calls his besties, for help. He said he only picked students that were finished with schoolwork, and it all happened during the last 10 minutes of class. In another video, he says that he also lets his students paint his nails. The students you see in this video has goals and aspirations to be a nail tech, he said. Her mom watches my videos all the time. Not only does she love it, but she signed a media release form for her daughter. Um, some are supporting him, saying that he's more of a father than most. But then there are others who are critical of the video, saying that this is too close and personal. There's been countless blog headlines claiming that White has been fired, but that's not true. Prince George's County Public Schools sent out a release saying that he's been reassigned out of the classroom pending the outcome of the investigation. The code of conduct does not say anything about braiding hair or painting nails. It does say that staff must respect students' personal boundaries by maintaining proper space and demonstrate appropriate behaviors. It also says that staff shouldn't record student faces and voices unless when teaching a performance arts class or a career technology course. So um, this Marcus is in hot water, and he said the parents signed off on it. Hopefully, he did follow all of that part of the protocol, um, and hopefully, he will land on his feet. And for those kids' sake, who obviously it's so hard, as we know, so difficult to get teachers of color. Number one, to teach kids of color. Angela Connolly just went all in from the top rope. She says, but the teachers can screw the students. She said, I said it. Houston ISD. But one way at looking at this is that he has developed such a great rapport with these students. And the fact that one of the students aspires to be a nail tech, and so he says, okay, let's, I'll let you do my nails. And he's doing it in an open space. He's not going to the student's home or the student coming to his home or they're meeting somewhere or whatever. Right there in the classroom. They have finished with their work. Look, um, I just don't see why this would escalate. I don't see why it would escalate, but maybe there's more to it. Maybe not. It doesn't seem to be. But this is again, hopefully they consider that the fact that parents sign a release, they consider strongly that these students are apparently learning very well because of his leadership and because of here's a guy who apparently knows how to connect, relate, and deal with kids. So, stand up and clap for him instead of clapping back at him. But we'll see the outcome. We'll find out what happens with Marcus. But this world is screwed up, y'all. It's totally screwed up. And unfortunately, we got to bring you that information when it's screwed up. Hopefully, we can bring some more entertaining stuff in the days and weeks to come. Doubt it, but hopeful. I remain hopeful. And I remain hopeful that you guys will go to our YouTube page and hit subscribe, share, like, and all that stuff. And I'll leave it with Power 96 says that Black males make up 1% of teachers. He needs our support. 100%. 100%. You guys have a safe and fun weekend. Got a few things planned. Dr. Nicole, I heard, is gonna be participating in this huge dinner that I got a late invitation to. And unfortunately, my schedule is jam-packed this weekend. She should have told me sometime before. She didn't even tell me. She still hasn't told me, actually. But that's okay. I'll catch up with her. I will catch up with her. Thank you all for watching. Let it be known. We'll see you on Monday.